Hello, everybody. Matt Medley here with the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast that nobody asked for. We go through our favorite moments, characters, pick a winner. And for season 9, we got a very special co-host for you all. It is, ladies and gentlemen, Betsy Hayes.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you doing? It is Labor Day.
Oh, yes,
Or Memorial Day, I mean.
Yeah, get it right. Memorial Day, the important one.
It
They're
is
all
Memorial
important.
Day. So we all must memor towards this. I have a lot of notes on this episode. The gang desperately tries to win an award. So I have a lot of questions here. So let's just jump right into it. So I'm a huge fan. You know, I'm doing this whole thing. So obviously that means I'm a huge fan. And
Right.
as we said, you're coming in later. You're kind of watching it now. These are the first times you are viewing some of these episodes. So what is your understanding of this episode?
So, what do you mean by my understanding? That's an interesting question.
This is an allegory for their television show. Because they've never won an Emmy. They've never even been nominated for an Emmy. So that's the thing. I want to go through this.
Okay.
If you didn't know that at first, let's go through it now, with that, guys. But this was written by Rickety Cricket, by the way. This episode.
Cricket, as in one of their characters.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
And so, yeah, this is, I'll go through all of the details, but yeah, this is about their show and how they've gotten nominated twice for stunts, and that's it. No writing, no acting, no nothing. So this is supposed to be kind of like
I see. Well, that brings a lot of things into the light. I had a feeling that something like that was going on based off of this episode, but I obviously don't know all the ins and outs of what's going on in their world.
Right. So,
but
even in that first scene, right off the bat, they're like, yeah, it's like, we've been around for a really long time and we haven't gotten nominated. It's like a little aggressive at this point, right?
I feel like if I had known that before I'd watched the episode, I watched it 7 times at this point. And I would have had more to say on that. But now I'm getting this information. So it's all oh, okay, that makes sense in retrospect. Fair
enough. I do have a line in that first scene, Charlie's ass kissing line, where he's like,
I had a feeling you were going to, sir. I had a feeling you were going to really like that. The one that I really liked in that first scene was after they're like, Charlie, you have to wear gloves if you're going to be a janitor. And he's like, I appreciate the concern, but it's not necessary. And then Mac's like, it's not for you. It's for us. That one just cracked me up.
Especially for today's pandemic climate.
Oh, yeah.
It did tickle me, especially because, he's not washing his hands and he's just handling all the glasses. And they're like, dude, you're in the bathroom scrubbing toilets and stuff.
Dude, what is crazy about that is this shows me that Charlie is the only one who does his job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least he's doing it. Okay, he's not wearing gloves, but what the hell are the rest of you doing? You're just sitting there drinking a beer every day.
Nobody else works. Mac and Dennis technically own Patty's along with Frank. So that's their kind of excuse. And Dee serves drinks, which nobody's at the bar.
That's Frank's business, is that he owns that bar? And
No. He's got a lot of different ones.
Okay. Well, he's not doing a great job.
He's not. But okay, so the first scene, it's all about them not winning, the bar not winning award. They got to kiss some ass. Closer to the hole, sir. Mac, a little side note for me personally, is wearing a Wisconsin high school t-shirt.
Oh, funnily enough, I did not notice.
That's good for me. So they go see the guy who's the bar association person who's the head of it or whatever, to see if they can win an award. And they go in. The guy is like, we send you the application every year And it always comes back to us with feces and racial slurs. And they're like, that's our sense of humor. You don't
just
get
don't get
it.
us.
Which is, again, if you think of it through the lens of like they're talking about their own show when they're talking about the bar, this all tracks, right? Because it's like,
right.
They do some pretty risque race stuff, especially at the beginning of the series.
Yeah, for sure. Also, this highlighted, I kind of forgot, like, I understand that it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but the fact that they're from Philly is like, that's almost the whole game throughout the
Yeah.
show. And that was highlighted in this episode when Dee said, if some old lame boner comes at me, I'm going to spit on him. And everybody joined in. They were like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's just start spitting on people.
Which comes back around in a pretty huge way, as we'll get to the end. But yeah, they were down with spitting right off the bat.
Yeah, and I just wrote pure Philly trash.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what they were going for.
It is you're right. It is funny. Philly is like the perfect place for this to be set, and it allows their characters to be that East Coast kind of
down and dirty
assholes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
can I just one point at the
please.
opening? I did love, you always comment like, oh, what did you think about the title card after the opening scene? I loved Dennis's final, this literally means nothing to me. And he got all sassy.
You've got it right behind you as well.
Yeah, that was my favorite line, I think. This literally means nothing to me. And the face that he makes, he's just like, and then the gang desperately tries to win an award.
That is good. Was there anything else? When they see the guy, he opens the suitcase and it explodes on him. on Frank, actually.
Frank, yeah.
And they were like, that was meant for you. I'm seeing by your face, though, you don't like it.
I can see now that you don't get our sense of humor. We're just not vibing. So I think.
So then that brings us to the bar Suds. Now, this is 2013. This is the time of the Big Bang Theory is huge. How I Met Your Mother is winning all those awards. Those are the shows that are like winning the comedy awards for Emmys.
Yeah, all of this is starting to make sense.
Yes.
Yeah, the bright colors, the banter. What I love about the banter part is when they're like, I want to come back next week to see what happens next.
Yes. They hooked him.
Great. Mm-hmm.
It's very brightly lit. You know,
There's
Sunny
no
is
subtlety.
Dark. Sunny's dark lit, and the bell is meant to represent a laugh track because the gang gets all mad about it. They're like, I will drink when I want to, and it's like, it's like I'll laugh when I want to sort of thing. The Suds manager is Oscar from The Office. I don't know how much Office he's on.
Yes, I'm fully aware.
He does not have that many lines. I wonder if some stuff got cut with him because he's in like a quarter of a scene and says nothing.
Yeah,
almost.
He's really funny, and he just kind of was a non-part. But what I loved about his scene that I took note of that I thought you might have liked was that Frank literally had food in his mouth for that entire scene, and he had a lot of lines.
Gross. He's munching on his candy. Oscar comes in appalled that he's there. Like, what are you doing?
Right. This is where I go, Frank, what kind of business owner are you that you think that sucking up to like this guy with a bag of shit with an egg? Like, what? How do you have any business success at all?
You must have missed Frank's back in business. I think that's the last season, and it explains a lot.
Oh, okay. Well,
because he goes back to work and he builds up the company again, blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
We're meant to believe that he just has a lot of money and he can make it at any time, right?
I see. Yes. Okay.
So, yeah, the banter between the characters there, will they, won't they, is a big thing.
That, and then the one black friend, which they talk way too long about. Of course.
Yeah, they're like, there's one black friend, nobody's talking about it. Wait,
I feel like you should at least mention. You should constantly be talking about it. And then
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say this is the part when I start realizing the dynamics between the characters. I'm like, okay, Charlie's the janitor from the first scene. That makes sense. And
Yeah.
then I keep remembering that Dee and Dennis are Frank's children.
Yes.
And this whole thing between Dennis and Frank, I'm like, why are you're a terrible parent as well as being a terrible business owner because your kids are terrible and their bar sucks. Get it together, Frank.
It's also, I mean, they're not his kids. I don't know if you saw that episode either, but there's they're that other guy's kids from One Tree Hill, and
fucking it all up. I'm sorry,
but it's okay. It's okay. But Frank comes back out, and another criticism of a show or whatever. He's like, "Yeah, the Suds manager has been to Patty's pub. He just says it's a bunch of people yelling over each other." Which is one of the criticisms of the show, right?
I see, yes. And Dee says, well, we're yelling at each other and people can tune in or they can't.
Yeah, no skin off our dicks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So anything else about the first Suds thing? They all individually order big punch bowls.
Yeah, and then they feel sad that they missed out on the bell.
Yeah,
of course.
Like afterwards, they're like, "Yeah, you know what? I see why people like this. This is good." And they start to, they start to plan to use this at Patty's, basically.
Which is my favorite thing that they do, which is when they try really hard and fail so spectacularly.
Which they do here. They do kind of try to bring it around. So Dennis is all like, let's do this. We can. He's practicing with Mac, and he wants to make the orgasm joke that the guy at Suds made at the beginning.
And Mac like, is not.
Mac gets up and screams at him. He's like, I've had orgasms. I've had a ton of orgasms. I've had an orgasm with your mom, dude.
Yeah, just so aggressive.
I came at you hot there. I came back at you. You came at me. So I came back at you
hard. Yeah. Yeah.
So they're not getting it. And then, like, 30 seconds later, Dee goes like, he's never had an orgasm.
No, she says, oh, well, she didn't even feel it, right? She didn't even, the thing with about your mom. Dee, your timing is so terrible.
She didn't even feel it. You're right. And she like half mumbles it too. She's like, she didn't feel it. Oh, Dennis says to Dee, we're going to make you pretty and benign. That's another.
I would like to say that I think actually there's so many good parts in this episode. And I love when he goes, okay, you guys are going to, you really want to be together, blah, blah, blah. And Mac's like, and he goes, you want to figure out how we're going to make Dee attractive enough for you to want her. And he's like, yeah, that's absolutely what I want. Just always shitting on Dee. And then he says, I'm going to give you like a bunch of light to soften your features. And she's like, oh, I like that idea. Okay.
She's on board. Everybody's like kind of on board. Even Charlie is trying with the song, which is really good at the beginning.
Oh, I love that song. That should be, I was going to say we should sing it, but I didn't learn it. So
me neither. Another little inside the episode thing. So they're like, why aren't we winning these awards? What's up? And they're like, is it our location? They're like, no, there's been a bar that opened up right down the street. This is 2013 where Louis is like winning all the awards and they're on the same channel. I think they might even be the same night.
Oh, wow.
So, and then they get to the point where they're like, is it us? No, it can't be. They lock Charlie in the basement because they don't like his song. I couldn't get if they because they act like they like it.
Right. Well, that's just the joke that had to be made, I guess.
Well, again, everybody tries, everybody gets almost there, and It just doesn't work. So they lock Charlie in the basement. They're going to have a party for all of they're going to kiss some ass, basically.
To the industry night, which means that you invite other people who work in the bar and restaurant industry to your place, show them some hospitality, kiss some ass, etc., etc.
Oscar's there again.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think he has like 2 lines.
Yeah.
So they get Z. Have you met Z yet?
Yes, I believe I have.
He's been around. He's kind of the I guess
token black
criminal, token black guy, whatever you want to call it. And he's like, Dennis is like, we can't have too many of them because then we become a black show and then we don't win awards. I don't know why or a black bar. Right.
And then they don't win any awards. I don't know why. They just don't.
And Z, the actor, was on The Wire, which did not win any awards. Won like 2 awards at its whole thing. And one of the reasons they said it was like, well, it was this diverse cast. It focused on the inner city. Like maybe that's why it didn't win, blah, blah, blah. Now considered one of the best dramas of all time.
Yes, I've heard. I have not seen it.
Mac screws up the line and he says bustin' a nut instead of orgasm.
Yeah, that was pretty spectacular of the fail. Like this whole sequence of them failing at this trying to be suds thing.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. And my favorite part was then after that, him and Dee go to do the will they won't they thing.
Right.
And it gets so aggressive. I just wrote the physical comedy was like outstanding.
Well, he goes to strangle her. And like Simpson style.
Well, because those, because they're a couple or whatever, they just have such good physical comedy together that he really lunges. She, with the arm coming across, is so great. But they're like, yeah, well, this is Philly. This is like, physical fights are happening on the regular. So what's the big deal?
That is a great stretch. And it's like, yeah, Mac talking about jizzing in the drink. He's like, well, when do I jizz in the drink? He's like, you don't. See, if I was there, if I'm at that bar.
Stuck on that. Wait, what?
If I'm at that bar, I'm fucking cracking up. That is the funniest goddamn thing I've seen in my life.
Yeah, but you're trying to be, you're trying to have a good night and they're talking about jizzing in a drink. I think I'd be a little mad.
I don't know. I guess it depends. So yeah, you're right. Then they go to D. She's all glowed up. She's loving it. She's loving the lighting.
Her lighting is great.
Charlie crawls out of the bottom of the bar.
Well, right before that, and this is the sequence that I love. I love the timing or the pacing of this scene a lot.
Yeah.
Because that happens when they strangle each other, and then Dennis goes, "This isn't will they, won't they? I know they won't, and I know I don't want them to."
Yes.
And then immediately Charlie starts crawling out of the hole, and they're like, "You got a guy crawling out of your floor," and they're like, "It's just a janitor. Don't worry about him."
Things are falling apart at the seams at this party. He crawls out. They're like, "Oh, I guess they're trying." Frank has this idea. I think it's because of Game of Thrones and things like that. Like,
oh, I see.
Something more fancy, time, nudity, even, upscale, risque a little bit. He says it's a burlesque show, blah, blah, blah. So they go to the office and Artemis has a bottle up his ass.
Oh, it's so brilliant. It's just, they were like, oh, how would these people do that type of thing? And that's, just absolute garbage.
He says, great. put the bottle in, get it out.
He
didn't like it, apparently, right away now.
And then he says, "Don't judge me. This is odd." In his heavy Philly accent, which I love.
Oh, dear God. Frank and Artemis fooling around. So Charlie sings the song. It's different. And he starts spitting on people, and the gang are like,
"Is that a sign?
Is that the
sign?"
Spitting on people. They spit on people, and they figure out it is us. It's okay. I like who we are. Let's just keep going.
I like me and I like us. That's what D says.
Yeah. So they come to peace with their own thing. So there you go. That's all I had on this one. What else did you, any other notes?
The only other thing that I wrote Philly trash again.
Yeah.
So they're really doubling down on, maybe that's why they're not winning awards, is because Philly is trash. It's not now. I mean, that's not what I think.
Well, listen, there's trash everywhere. There's LA trash. We could talk about certain LA trash people. There's Florida trash. There's Wisconsin trash. I mean, there's plenty to go around.
Yeah, for sure. And if they made shows about the trash of those places, they might not win awards either. And I think it's okay.
Exactly. So who wins the episode? This one is a tough one because the gang is really together the whole time.
They are. They're really a team on this one. I mean, can we give it to the gang? Is that
I do that in very specific times, but I think we can eliminate a couple because we can eliminate Frank, I think, and we can eliminate Charlie, right? Because they kind of go off and do their own thing. Charlie really only has the 2 songs. They're pretty funny moments, but not anything too spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of a fan of Charlie's little moments, even though he wasn't in it a lot. I don't know. Maybe your argument's fair. I was going to say Mac, actually.
Okay. I mean, Mac is good because he does have, the scene where he screams at Dennis. You always got to see a good Mac scene. He's great at the Suds bar, pointing out everything. Yeah, he's great with that scene with D.
Mm-hmm. I would say he's the point of that little threesome that fucks it up the most.
Right.
Therefore,
that is
winning
true.
The episode.
Let's go with it. Mac gets the W.
All right.
Not too many lines in this one, I gotta say.
I would disagree. I had a lot of lines. I mean, this isn't will they, won't they? This is I know they won't, and I know I don't want them to. I mean, it was so clean.
That one's great.
We're too fringe. They said that. I like that.
What?
I wrote down we're too fringe.
Yes. It's better than busting a nut. I've had orgasms. I've had a ton of orgasms. I had one with your mom, dude.
Whatever.
That's all I had.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine.
Or is it the line behind you?
This literally means nothing to me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Because that sets up, there's not only a great face by Dennis, but it sets up the title card.
Yeah.
And it sets up basically the rest of the episode, and it is a really funny line.
Agreed.
All right. Wackiness scale. Not too. This is meta. We could almost do a meta scale with these as well. This is more meta than wacky. This is actually really grounded. They're trying to win an award for their bar because they're embarrassed. The emotional component is there.
Yeah, it's actually of the wacky. It's like the lowest because they're trying so hard.
Yeah. One wacky, but still great. This is one of my more favorite on the scale. It is one of my more favorite episodes because it is really funny.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Anything else, Betsy, before we sign off?
No, that's all I got for this episode.
Beautiful. Well, Mac gets the win and Dennis gets the win for quote. Up next, Mac and Dennis buy a timeshare. So we'll see you then, everybody.